All right, you guys, we are here at Kinetics Fitness Center. This gym is really cool, got a great atmosphere, not too many people. Alpha Land was a little busy today, so we decided to come here. What we're gonna do today is I'm gonna go through a pull day with you guys. I've recently switched up my split. I'm doing a push-pull legs split right now, simply because of the fact that my arms are kind of a dominant part for my physique.
The muscles.
So I'm taking away my arm day. As fun as it is, no more arm days for a little while. Push-pull legs, we're gonna have 2 separate workouts for each of those push days, each of those pull days, each of those leg days. We're gonna go through pull day number 1. Let's get to it. First exercise we're gonna start with is just a standard lat pull down. Now, we are gonna switch the attachment. You guys already know that I prefer to be using straps for today. So we're gonna switch it to a straight bar, but just for a warm-up sake, I don't really mind doing something a bit different. All right, so since we are at a different gym than normal, I don't know exactly how heavy these machines are, how they feel. And a lot of times people get really worried about that. They're like, oh, I don't have my typical machine. I don't have this. How do you track progressive overload? I'll let you know a little secret. I don't really track all that closely. And I'm not saying I don't have a few machines here and there that I come back to consistently where I can see whether I'm progressively overloading over time. But if I have to use a different machine, I'm not all that concerned. As long as it has a similar movement pattern, we're good to go. So what I'm doing here is what I call a test set. So I'm gonna do 1, maybe 2 reps, see how it feels. And because that felt like it was gonna be okay, I could probably get a solid 7, 8, 9 reps. I'm gonna increase the weight before I do my first working set. So I changed my mind, gonna try and keep the weight the same, just because I really wanna emphasize for the next little while staying in the frontal plane while I'm doing my pulls. And the heavier the weight gets, the more you tend to bring yourself back into scaption while pulling back. Problem is, I'm not really looking for a scaption-based pull right now. I'm gonna do a wide grip, and then I'm gonna move on to a neutral grip, and that'll have me already a little bit more, I guess technically it's frontal plane, but it'll have me a little bit more out front. So I'll just wait until I get to there to have that kind of pull. For now, I'm gonna try and stay as upright as I possibly can, pulling straight down in that frontal plane. By the way, I'm pretty sure that I accidentally said frontal when I meant sagittal in the last clip. You can go back and fact check me if you want, but I think I meant sagittal, but I said frontal. I said frontal? My bad. I meant to say frontal and sagittal. Sorry guys. Suboptimal. All right. Oh. 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 Had to fight that urge not to rock back to get some more reps, but it'll be worth it. And we are gonna hit that for 1 more set. Now, a lot of people have been asking me about rest times recently because there was some new data that showed that somewhere around like 2 minutes seemed to be the sweet point between being able to get in a decent amount of volume and rest. Honestly, my general opinion on this is go when you're ready. You feel like you're fully recovered and ready to go at the 2-minute mark or something like that, go ahead. For me, typically after most sets, I'm still gassed after 2 minutes, especially if I've gone really hard on it or it's a very large muscle group that I'm using. So very rarely am I gonna rest only 2 minutes, but that doesn't mean that if you feel recovered and ready to go, that you can't go at around 2 minutes if it works well for you, especially on like smaller things, unilateral movements and stuff like that for bicep or lateral raise. But for something like this, or a hack squat, or something that's just a bigger overall movement, I'm probably gonna take longer than 2 minutes rest. But to clear up any confusion that we might have had before, what I was referring to, I accidentally said frontal twice before, and obviously the frontal plane is playing like this. What I meant to say was sagittal. So these have a neutral grip right here. So while they are a pull down, we are still pulling in the sagittal plane. So it is a different pulling movement, emphasizes things slightly differently. As you come down, what's gonna happen is you're going to transfer force into that thoracic division. So even though it's not coming from straight out in front of us, you're still gonna get plenty of thoracic work with a pull down that is with a neutral grip. Am I opposed to doing a row, a lat bias row of some sort? Absolutely not. But this is a really cool machine and I wanted to try it out. So I'm gonna do that today. And you might see me switch it from time to time and do a row. You might see me sometimes do a neutral grip, pull down. Either one I'm fine with. I'm not gonna quibble too much over it, but this is a really cool looking machine and I wanted to try it out. So, hey, we'll give you a 2 for 1. I'll rate it for you guys too. All right, let's see how this goes. All right. That's nice. I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. Only reason being, because this is slightly angled already, when you go to pull, your hand kind of like rotates downwards a little bit. It doesn't stay perfectly straight up like I would like it to. So if this was a little bit more horizontal, it'd be just that much better. Still a really good machine though. Next exercise we are going to do is rear delts, working them through the mid to short position. I do like going cross body sometimes with the single arm, and I will do that. So if you guys see me doing that, don't be like, oh, you're doing something different. I just like both. But today we're gonna be doing the reverse pec deck. Now, as you guys know, I prefer to set up with more of a standing motion, leaned over like this. If you prefer just to be seated while you do it, no issue with that, no problem. For me, it's just a little bit more comfortable on my shoulders, taking this position right here. And let's get after it. You're welcome for the view. Oh, you're over there now. Hey, so if you've noticed on multiple sets throughout this day, I have done more than my typical like 5, 6, 7 rep range. What's the reason for that? I don't know the weight. So when you're on a new machine, you start out, you're not exactly sure where you're gonna fail. So if I fail somewhere around like 8, 9, 10, 11 reps, I'm not too concerned. That's completely fine. All I'll do is I'll just increase the weight for the next set. But having that happen to yourself is not a huge deal. People have started to become so fixated on the small details that they don't see the overall picture. So if you're doing 10 reps to failure versus 8 reps to failure versus 7 reps to failure, it's not going to be that big of a difference. Now, could that create differences over time? Possibly, but in the end, there's nothing really to suggest that you can't get perfectly good results by failing somewhere around the 9 to 10 rep range. It's just not scientific to say otherwise. So yes, we are trying to mitigate fatigue in some sense by doing lower rep, but it's not the end of the world if your reps get up a little bit higher. We're just pretending like we're on the bicep curl machine right now because we're really on to rows next, but there's people on it right now, so we're gonna wait. We're gonna be patient, wait them out, and they're gone. Let's go over to the rows. We're moving on to our chest supported rows next. We've already done a lot of lat work today, so we're not really trying to get the lats involved at all. Now, if I was to take the grip inside here, what would happen is, sure, my elbows would come out a bit, but I would still get a decent amount of lat involvement in that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a super wide hand placement, just make sure that everything is pulling up through, really focusing on the traps and rhomboids, trying to make sure that everything we do in this exercise is completely dedicated to that upper back. We're not really trying to hit the lats at all. Unfortunately, this machine is a little bit light, so we're gonna have to lock in for a decent number of reps. But hey, we already talked about this. It's okay. It's okay to go a bit higher rep sometimes. Builds character. Playing some banger music right now. I don't know if you guys can hear that with me being mic'd up. Let's do this. Oh. Hit the cables. One more set of that, and we should be good. Well, for the back, that is. Still got some bicep work to do. Our second last exercise of the day, bicep curls. Now, try and figure out the resistance profile of your particular bicep machine. See, a lot of people, they just go in, they get set up, they go. But if you take a look at this machine right here, right? It has some play here. So what happens if I pull from here, you can feel it immediately. If I put my elbows all the way out here and I pull from here, it gets harder as I get closer to the top. Problem with this, biceps lose leverage closer to the top. So I would rather have it harder down closer to the bottom. Now when I move this back here and I set my elbows up in accordance with that and I get ready to go, it's a lot easier up here and it gets harder as it gets closer to the bottom. So this resistance profile is gonna be much more useful for me. Now let's get to an actual set. Okay. But Joel, only 5 reps? Yes. Biceps are no different than your other muscle groups. You can do lower reps with smaller muscle groups. Doesn't matter. They're going to respond the same way to those lower rep ranges as they are if they were your quads. People don't seem to have any issue when you do squats with sets of 5, but then you do a bicep curl with sets of 5, heaven forbid. Don't think like everybody else. Think differently, scientifically even. And our last exercise for the day is the preacher curl. Oh, he thought I made a mistake. No, same machine, different hand placement. Just finishing off the brachialis with a brachialis emphasis. Of course, you're still gonna get biceps involved. You're still gonna get brachialis involved when your hands are here. Just de-emphasizing the bis a little bit. Finishing off with this. By far, if you guys have been following me for any time, you know that I think that this is the most underrated exercise out there that people just don't utilize. And I can't figure out why. I don't know if they just don't know it exists or they're jealous that I got here first. But this is a fantastic exercise. So if you've never done it before, give it a go. Oh, that's heavy. Unfortunately, their rubber is a little bit twisted up, so it's not the most comfortable, but we'll make it work. Okay. All right, guys, here's what the physique is looking like.
Most impressive.
We are 209-ish, 209, a little bit more, maybe like 211 when we're carrying water, maybe closer to 208 when we got a little bit less water retention going on. But this is what we're looking like right now at that weight, 5'9". Look, if you're trying to stay absolutely shredded while bulking, I got news for you. You're probably not gonna get as far as you can get. So we put on a little bit of fat. We understand that that's just part of the journey. Not gonna have perfectly diced legs during that time. Abs are gonna be very much, let's say, washed out, I guess you could say. My abs are very thick, so they might not show quite as clearly on you with the same body fat, but my abs are very thick, so you can see them a bit higher body fat percentage. But overall, like, this is very good lighting, so don't take this as me being 12% body fat or anything like that. Yeah, you're good. No worries, no worries. But don't take that as me, like, don't see like, oh, he's got abs, he must be 12% body fat. We're closer to like 18, 19. It's no problem. Just a nice, comfortable off-season physique will allow us to progress the way we need to. And hopefully, next time we do compete, either next year or the year after, we come back with a lot more muscle. Because if I was to compete this year, maybe I'd be able to put on 2 pounds of muscle, maybe, if I was lucky. But we're trying to go for that more like 5 to 8 pounds of muscle by the time we compete next. If we could gain that much weight in terms of actual quality tissue, look, completely different physique at that point. So thanks for tuning in. And I'll catch you guys next with, I think our next workout is gonna be legs. It might be push, who knows? PPL, you'll get what you get. TNF out.